Hello everyone and welcome to the Finnish Education and Beyond podcast. I'm Johnny Alwindi and this is a special interview series where we explore one of the most important questions facing education today. This series is produced in collaboration with Helsinki Education Hub, an innovation platform based at University of Helsinki's Faculty of Educational Sciences. Helsinki Education Hub brings together educational research, EdTech entrepreneurs, schools, researchers, students, and public sector actors to develop and validate impactful learning solutions. Helsinki Education Hub's mission is built around a simple but powerful idea. Educational innovation should be grounded in research. Over the course of this series, we speak with researchers, entrepreneurs, ecosystem builders, and public sector leaders who are part of shaping the future of education in Finland and beyond. Our first conversation explores the role of educational ecosystems and asks what it actually takes to build meaningful EdTech innovation. Joining us are Heidi Lammassaari, Project Manager of the Helsinki Education Hub, and Niko Lindholm, Senior Business Advisor at the Helsinki Education Hub. And together they discuss the intersection of research, entrepreneurship, schools, and innovation, and why collaboration matters more than ever. Heidi and Niko, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So nice to see you here in the studio finally. How are you doing?
Oh, good.
Spring is finally starting this weekend, so I'm very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So Heidi, let's start with you. So for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and now your role in the Helsinki Education Hub?
So I'm Heidi Lammassaari, working as a project manager for Helsinki Education Hub, which is an innovation platform operating at the Faculty of Educational Sciences at the University of Helsinki. I actually have quite a long background at the University of Helsinki and this Faculty of Educational Sciences, because I started my studies there in the major of educational psychology in 2008. And since then, I've been staying actually at the faculty more or less, working first more as more in research and teaching intense roles, and then switching to Helsinki Education Hub in 2024. And simultaneously, I always had also some projects outside. So my passion and main driver has been so to say, to think about how to build bridges between the research-based knowledge and something what is happening outside the academia.
Fantastic. And Niko, welcome to you also. And if you want to tell us a little bit about your journey, for those who don't know you, and I would like you to introduce also the initiative of Edu from back in the days that many people in Finland know you from. And then to your present role at Helsinki Education Hub.
It's a very long story, but I'll try to be short. So Niko Lindholm is my name, and I'm the Senior Business Advisor and EdTech Innovation Lead at Helsinki Education Hub. Have been in the hub as long as Heidi, of course. We started at the same time, on the same day. My background is very long when it comes to education technology. So before Edu, I used to work for the R&D and I arm of the government. Back then it was called Finpro, now it's called Business Finland. And the reason why I was there for 3 years was that was the time when Finland then initiated the idea of starting to export education. And the reason for that was that there was so much need and request from outside of Finland for it. So then more or less the government decided that, I guess we need to cater for the needs. So I was there, and then I was working with many of the ICT and education companies back then as part of that program, and it was quite clear from the beginning that they don't have the capability or competencies to more or less take their solutions outside of Finland, partly because what they had been developing in Finland was not aligned with even the Finnish education system, so they were more or less these technological gadget and toys and ICT solutions, so the education word was not there at all. So because of that, me and some other colleagues then decided that it would be wise to set up an EdTech accelerator, which was then Edu, So we found some public-private funding for that, meaning funding from corporations and from the city of Helsinki. So we set up that program, and from day one the idea was that that accelerator should become the driver of the Finnish EdTech innovation ecosystem. Because before that we had a very fragmented business vertical when it comes to education technology. So everyone was doing their own stuff in their own garage, more or less, and there was no joint understanding who we are, where do we want to be, what are we building for what purpose, and how do we get that support in order to do that. So XEDU became this driver for that and connected different dots. So that was the early days when we were working already, not officially with the University of Helsinki and the Faculty of Educational Sciences, but we were on the campus and we were able to get in some of the professionals and experts from there into our programs, but that was not an official partnership as per se. But from there on, we started to build the Finnish EdTech innovation ecosystem, and the accelerator really acted as the connector and driving force for that. And we can now see that 10 years ago when we set up that, so very good companies have stemmed from there. EdTech is a very slow vertical, so it takes sometimes many years, multiple years. So the likes of Edu10 has gone through that program that we ran then. Kide Science, which did the exit year and a half ago, was part of that program. So many of the companies who are so-called established EdTech companies from Finland went through our program. So it was a good kickstart for the EdTech innovation ecosystem. But back then, we knew the problems that we had then, but step by step we started to understand more problems that we need to fix. And Helsinki Education Hub is one of those fixers in a way that is fixing the not last bit, but the most important one at the moment.
Okay, let's come back to that story and the creation of the Finnish ecosystem and go into Helsinki Education Hub and what it tries to do right now. So what is it actually trying to build or enable?
I think that we have a very holistic approach for what we actually want to do. So I would say that our main mission is to bring in all those essential stakeholders or operators that needs to be on board when you're developing impactful EdTech solutions. So in our case, it means that, okay, we need the research-based knowledge, we need the research infrastructure to support this aim. We also need the entrepreneurs, so those early stage developers who actually develop those solutions. And then we need the end users, for instance, on board, that we can go and test those early stage solutions in the real life learning environments. And in our case, this last bit is the city of Helsinki and its testbed facilities. So I would say that what we try to do, we really try to build the structure. We try to enable the better EdTech development. In short.
So could you go into specifics about the different roles of the different stakeholders, maybe starting with the university's role or the hub's role? What specifically is the role of the Helsinki Education Hub and the university? Something that you maybe can generalize about the pedagogical side of the university's role, let's say, compared to or as opposed to an accelerator. So what would be the university's role, and Niko can also comment on that also. Starting with that role, and then what other roles from the different stakeholders are needed and responsibilities from them also.
It's a very good question. I would say that the university, in this case, we have like two roles actually. First of all, we want to be the kind of a mothership for those EdTech developers and the future EdTech solutions, which means that we want to support those people, those teams who try to develop those EdTech solutions. Practically, it appears in our operations as an incubator program that Niko actually leads. So of course, we want to support those people who probably do not have that much educational background. Another task that we have, or goal or aim, is that we would like to increase the number of university-based, initiatives in EdTech development. So practically, we would like to see more researchers also considering taking the path of probably not only becoming entrepreneur, but somehow being involved in EdTech innovations. So that's the another basic goal that we have. So both support the external, but also to encourage and support the people and teams that come inside the university.
Great. And Niko, what would you add to that compared to the EdEdu mission?
Sure. So the accelerator that existed 10 years ago in Finland, so it was an EdTech innovation program, yes, but it was very much focusing on the business development part of the teams, which was crucial back then. We did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in that. But if we connect what we did with EdEdu back then to what the world of EdTech looks nowadays, so now we are more or less trying to fix those problems within the EdTech vertical that are not only Finnish problems, but these are global problems, meaning that investors, for example, or the ones who procure these solutions, do not want to see just nice business model canvases anymore. It's not enough. So what is important now is that you have this market logic as something that you understand as an entrepreneur, but you also have to have an educational logic and combine these two together. And this is what Helsinki Education Hub is doing, and it's very much different from the accelerator back then, because we are really trying to support the entrepreneurs in building solutions where the DNA of the solution is based on educational science, and how do you more or less use that educational science which is embedded in your solution to support the learners or educators in their work. And you can actually then track and show your impact rather than just state that, yes, we are doing it. So we have taken a step from a market logic based innovation program for EdTech companies to an educational logic and market logic based EdTech innovation program for entrepreneurs. And the difference between an accelerator and incubator is very important here, because accelerators usually have the idea of being an innovation program where the end goal is to more or less get to the markets and or then get funding from investors. An incubation program is more about developing solution that is, in our case, very much aligned or informed by research, and in the long run becoming evidence-based solution. So we are filling the gap in a way by that activity for future EdTech companies.
Yeah, I was thinking about those gaps. So what are the gaps that you see from, let's say, innovators or researchers who have these ideas or they're doing this research, but they might not have this ambition to take it to the market? They are not maybe thinking about that. So they're focused on their research. And then you might have these educators or entrepreneurs who have no research background and don't have this natural connection to the university. So more specifically, what are the gaps that you try to fill that you might be identifying?
Of course, those external teams that might have a high, entrepreneurship ambition, and they might have a commercial background or they might have technical background. During our program and in our operations, we try to support those teams to build kind of connections to educational research. Like how to communicate for the educators that, okay, your solution is impactful and your solution works. And of course, we try to introduce some basics of educational research for them, but we simultaneously need to know that, okay, we have a 3-month program, so we cannot cover all, we cannot cover years of studies in education, but we can help them to understand and to anchor their solutions kind of bits and pieces to educational research so that they are in a credible way able to communicate, for instance, for educators or those people or stakeholders who do the procurement and such. So that's the way how we work, and that happens during our incubator program, as we have there integrated a module called Designing for Impact, where we really take a deep dive into these questions. With the researchers who might have some kind of entrepreneurship ambitious or thoughts that should I probably turn my research into some kind of more like commercial initiative or innovation initiative, it's a bit more tricky, as quite often researchers are very much, very busy with their own research, and it really takes all their time. So I would say that it's not that straightforward to how to support them. With the researchers who might have those kind of entrepreneurship ambitious, or they might be considering like, should I try to turn my research findings or project findings into some kind of a more like an innovation or commercial initiatives, we need to remember that Helsinki Education Hub, our aim is not to like do the spin-outs or spin-offs. It's a Helsinki Innovation Services who does that. But what we can do and we want to do is to give the support, to discuss with them, and also try to show the paths that, okay, this could be the next steps for you, and this could be your path if you want to forward in that way. So I would say that we are more like a supporting and walking hand in hand to show that, okay, this could be your next steps in that journey.
And Niko, following up on this, so when it comes to the teams then that the EdTech companies actually need, looking back at those teams that succeeded or did not succeed from the ex-edu times, and now connecting maybe with the present need of researchers, what would be the key elements that these teams would need to succeed from your experience?
I mean, we're in the EdTech space, so the key team constellation should be built in a way that, as we told back then, 10 years ago already, that you should more or less have a team where you have the technical capability, the business capability, but then crucially the educational capability. And when I look at education technology companies, not only in Finland but outside, everywhere more or less, it's still the case that they are usually business and tech people. So the educational expertise is lacking from these teams. And especially now, post-COVID, when there is much more demand from the investors and the procurers for education technology solutions that are actually then delivering an impact, it might be learning outcomes or something else. It's crucial to have this kind of team constellation, because without it, you don't even know how to start to explain these things. I'll give you an example. In our current program, we have a very, very good team developing a solution for AI literacy, and then first learners do AI literacy so they understand it, and then they actually work with an AI agent when it comes to mathematics and for example, the Finnish language and so forth. Commercially, technically, brilliant, very good. But during these 3 months, you interviewed them just last week, was
Yes.
it, with another colleague, and they stated that this program is great because when we have been part of it, we have been like deers in headlights when it comes to the educational expertise that we need. So it was like a tsunami that we threw at them. By stating that this is what you need if you're going to be making a success in the long run. It's not the technology, it's not the business only, but how do you connect this, what you're doing, to educational logic and curriculum and all of that. And this is still, globally, not only in Finland, globally, the biggest problem that education technology has. The lack of understanding of that education landscape, educational logic, pedagogical models, structures, theories, whatnot. And we are one of the only incubators in the world doing this connection now. And then that example of the company that just was interviewed last week by us was a good example that highly needed, because when they state that deer in headlights, we understand that we are doing the right thing.
Yeah. So maybe you can continue on this from your perspective. So what would be a really good EdTech company or solution? So what elements does it need that you're now helping to add to this maybe older generation of EdTech companies and solutions?
I would actually put it in quite short. They need to be able to state at first that what educational challenge or problem they are about to solve. So when they are defined that, okay, we have this particular educational problem that we try to solve, and they can explicate that, I think that they probably have half of the solution. Then we can bring in the technology, then we can bring in the layers of how to commercialize all that, how to sell later and so on. But if you don't even know what you're trying to solve, I think that you're lacking the ground of your solution, really. So I would say that this is a crucial point. And of course, they also need to learn how to communicate the impact of their solution to the wider audience. So probably you need to communicate for the business people in a different way, because they might value scalability, the commercial aspects, return of investment and what else. But when you communicate for the educators, you need to tell, okay, how does it actually improve the learning outcomes? Or how does it help teachers to carry out the pedagogy that they want to do? So this really needs to become part of that teams and solutions DNA, these aspects.
And the right time to do this is an early stage startup. So once again, back to this acceleration, incubation differences, which majority of people say that it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's very different. So if you take an accelerator where you're trying to push down these things that we are now been discussing about the educational logic and so forth, or context, it might be too late.
Yeah.
So we need to be influencing the product development phase with the educational input from early on, because then that becomes the guiding light, roadmap for future product development into a scalable solution.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about this. So how do you intervene or influence early enough so that you have the right kind of EdTech products? Maybe we can continue on this mistake in scaling too fast, products that are solving maybe problems that are not real problems, that they're not, let's say, actual learning problems, or they're old learning problems. So have this communication between the modern research, but also making investors and other stakeholders allowing for these kind of products to grow. So from an ecosystem perspective, what elements would be needed and how to avoid the scaling and, let's say, the marketing of products that just get attention for the bad reasons or the wrong reasons, I would say.
I think it has already started to happen quite organically post-COVID. So during COVID, there was lots of investment going into EdTech solutions. During COVID, we could see that those solutions were not doing what they were supposed to do. So investors saw that, oh God, we made the wrong investment. And then they looked back and they started to understand, oh, maybe this evidence bit should be more strengthened in our own thesis as an investor. Same goes for procurement. So procurement people, public or private, also understood during COVID, especially post-COVID, that we have too many solutions in our portfolio. I've heard of international schools, for example, that have over 150 solutions in their portfolio, which is just mind-boggling. So these guys also understood that we need to streamline a bit what we have and pick and choose those ones who can actually show before procurement that this is most likely going to be the impact. But then, of course, by implementing the solution, you will be able to track that. And the entrepreneurs and the companies need to be able to show that this is how we are going to be collecting that evidence as well. It's not only the procurer's responsibility, it's also the entrepreneur's responsibility. So as I said, so it has organically started to shift. But because of this slow shift and the lack of trust, and then therefore lack of investment into education technology and the incoming AI wave, more or less, we are seeing that EdTech is currently in a space where if it doesn't evolve into more evidence based or research alignment, or what different terms here and there, but anyway, that into that kind of a area where impact is measured and shown, EdTech is going to die, and that's for sure. And so we need to be creating structures where different players with common interest, meaning better and improved learning, come together to create these kind of structures where the entrepreneurs are able to then start to create these solutions which are tied to research, and then when implemented, you are able to research the impact of the solution.
Yeah. So can you think of examples, and please Heidi also fill in, on cases where the pedagogy has been the driving force of innovation in education, and not only the technology. So when new technology comes, it comes and goes, and it's really changing very fast, but it might not be rooted in the pedagogy, in something more, let's say, timeless in principles. So from a psychological perspective and a learning perspective, have you seen examples of this case when pedagogy is actually driving the innovation in new kind of solutions, and then the technology comes to maybe scale it or expand it? You both.
Well, from my side, it's quite easy. I'll just use a Finnish example. Is EduTen is EduTen internationally and Ville in Finland. So I think so my request to all of early stage entrepreneurs is that be more like Ville or EduTen, because what they have done is it's highly connected to research, and then that research was transformed into a technological solution which was tried out, tested in public schools, and further developed by connecting it back to research. So that's, I think, one of the best cases coming out of Finland. Of course, they had more maybe resources compared to usual founders because they were attached to the University of Turku, or still are. But still, I see that's the process to go by. And based on what we see from their success and their national level rollouts that they are doing in different countries, and being part of the UNICEF Blue Unicorn portfolio, which means they are vetted by UNICEF and the experts that they work with. So I would say that's the story that we should all be listening and looking at. So the story of EduTen is something that every entrepreneur should be looking at, especially here in Finland.
Obviously, yes, and I would like to add on that we also have increasingly such teams in coming into our incubator program who has background in the, for instance, Faculty of Educational Sciences or other educational faculties in Finland. So, of course, in those cases, it's quite natural that the pedagogy or the educational perspective is built in to the solution from the early stage on.
I'll take another example, short. So I'm a big fan of Kridi from Oulu as well. They also used to be in the accelerator program that I ran 10 years ago, but still, they were quite fresh back then. But they have shown immense stamina and patience when it comes to developing the solution further and doing it together with the municipalities and the educators and including the learners into that process. And I really love what they have started now. Just I think the project is already launched, but now they are integrating AI into the solution. And it's not something that they are doing by themselves with hiring more people to program and so forth. They are doing it together with University of Oulu and the Learning and Education Technology Lab, LET, over there. So what they were able to do is that they came up with a proposal for Business Finland co-innovation funding, where university and a EdTech company come together in order to research the impact of AI through an EdTech solution. And we'll see the results later on, but that's also one way to work with universities as well. So we are not the only one in Finland doing this. So this example of Kridi and University of Oulu is a good example of creating these solutions that are attached and tied to research, but then also part of an existing company already.
And do you think this attachment to a university should be a, let's say, criteria or a requirement for all EdTech companies? I mean, if you're into education, I mean, there might need to be some ground rules for what kind of solutions are allowed to experiment with children in a classroom or beyond the classroom. So what do you think?
I wouldn't say that it's a requirement, but it's a huge advantage. Of course, we cannot guarantee that if you are a research-based team that you are going to be a success. There are so many other aspects to take into account. So I wouldn't say that it's a requirement, but it's a really an advantage. But in the future, I would really like to see more such teams that would, for instance, recruit a researcher as a part of their team, or that we could even more build bridges between the researchers and those early stage teams, that they would communicate, that they would elaborate the problems further, the challenges further, in order to develop the early stage solution. So that's really something that we also want to do and try to do all the time. When it comes to such themes that probably do not have a member who has an educational or pedagogical background, we need to acknowledge that we have limited resources to support those teams, but it's not impossible at all, because when you really start to, integrate the educational thinking and the pedagogical thinking for those teams thinking during the incubator program, we can do a huge leap. But that also, of course, requires that the team is highly motivated and they are curious. They really want to know, okay, how could this knowledge and this pedagogical knowledge, this educational knowledge be integrated in our solution development? So we can help also those teams, and they can become really advanced also in that sense. So both teams are needed.
And you guys are doing research about the impact as well now, right?
Yes.
So you're looking at our cohorts and looking at what was the impact of our incubation program and the knowledge transfer from the Faculty of Educational Sciences to these entrepreneurs. We don't have the results yet, but later on.
But this is a good example of EdTech companies who have now become aligned with the research, and you're actually connecting them, attaching them, although they might not be spin-offs from universities and they might not have a researcher from the beginning, but they are still going through your filter, so you can kind of give them this recommendation or quality stamp to continue operating in the world.
I think you have to remember that we have only been doing this for 2 years now in this format, meaning running a program from the Faculty of Educational Sciences, physically being in close connection with the faculty and the experts there. 2 years is just the beginning. What we are aiming at is change of culture. So I've been talking about the post-COVID EdTech world in a way. So this change is slow to happen, meaning more evidence-based and all of that. But we are one of those actors who are really trying to change that culture so that 10 years from now, majority of the EdTech solutions that are actually then invested into or procured into public or private education systems have this kind of mental thinking or DNA as part of the company.
Yeah, and then looking at the ecosystem perspective, so you can refer also back to those examples that you mentioned who have succeeded very well, and what ingredients from their experience, so they were connected to the university, what other stakeholders did they have access to, or what other resources did they have maybe that you can use as an example that this is what we should continue building from for this complete ecosystem and even culture of healthy or flourishing EdTech solutions to be able to grow. So from just an idea stage, maybe that what can we use to inspire these right solutions to grow?
Each startup team is different. They have different team constellation. They have different agendas, missions. Some of them want to be developing a solution with high educational output. Some of them are really interested in exit in 5 years. So I don't think we can be that specific that this is
Yeah,
what
but
we
let's
want
say
to
the
build.
university and Helsinki Education Hub filter that they
Yeah.
need to pass some kind of filter. But let's go back to use the textbooks from big publishers as an example. Looking at some countries now prohibiting technology, modern technology, instead of educating around it, which might be my perspective that you should kind of educate rather than prohibit. Going back as an alternative, or they see this as an option to go back to textbooks. Whereas my perspective is that textbooks have never been really good at exciting students to develop their curiosity to continue learning. But still, even textbooks had this filter that some selected publishers could sell textbooks to municipalities. And Finland is a good example where basically you have resources for free, but still teachers decide to even pay for other kind of material or used products, even though the municipality might not have decided on that. And now when basically access to all information is free, thanks to the internet, the publishers might not have this, I wouldn't say maybe monopoly, but monopolistic tendencies of being able to have their material as the first material coming to the schools. And when it comes to EdTechs and EdTech solutions, we might not have had these kind of filters. Whereas I see that university might be able to take this role that, okay, now we have this program that we recommend as a filter for all kinds of startups who want to have their products in the education system to go through. Because if your ambition is to have an exit, yeah, maybe you should not be in the EdTech business to start with, because parents might not think that that's a good idea. Yeah. So that's kind of the filter and perspective I want to have also as an educator, that investors should also be educated around other kinds of investments, especially if you promote yourself as an impact investor. So positive impact and negative impact, financial impact or cognitive impact, I think we should be very careful about highlighting and promoting where we want to be. So
I think
that's my perspective.
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't think that a university can act as a filter. We can act as a playground where we pot for plants where we grow seedlings. The filter should actually be the procurers, because they act as the gatekeepers more or less. In that role, they should be more capable of evaluating education technology solutions when they are procuring these. So in Finland, we don't have a municipal or national level any kind of EdTech evaluation framework. We have nothing. We have maybe guidelines, and then based on municipality here and there, they are highly different. Especially now with more AI-based solutions are coming. I would say 80-90% soon of them are AI-based. So our public procurement departments in municipalities are in a mess with that because of a EU Act and a Data Act, Data Act and AI Act and all of that stuff. So what we should actually be doing is that we should be training our municipal procurers in understanding education technology, not only as bottlenecks in pushing them away, but as gatekeepers in the way that they are highly trained in picking and choosing the best ones that actually fit with the national curriculum and the local curriculum, so that the impactful EdTech would be taken in so that they have an impact in the classroom. And this is something that we are lacking in Finland completely. So rather than university being a filter, those municipal procurers should have the capability and competence at looking at education technology, not only from a technology perspective, but from an educational impact perspective. So they should be part of that new wave of education technology by being part of its implementation, rather than just being a buffer that slows in a way down the development of education technology. So I think municipalities should be demanding more from education technology based on their needs, making those needs visible, rather than just saying EdTech is bad, screen time is bad.
Yeah. And there could be an interesting point for collaboration, thinking about those requirements, those list of requirements for the procurement, that could actually university researchers or staff to collaborate with the procurement departments in order to check out those lists for or those requirements for procurement in a sense of or from the lenses of educational impact or pedagogical impact or such. So there would be an interesting point for some kind of collaboration or cooperation.
Yes,
actually, yeah, that could be a very interesting chance also for universities to enhance this societal impact task, which is one of the three main pillars for the university's kind of a research, teaching, and also the societal impact or societal engagement. So, yeah.
I'll show when it comes to EdTech development and supporting the EdTech sector, so municipalities could have a greater role in that. So if municipalities would clearly state what kind of solutions they want for this and this and this and this purpose, in this and this and this subject, they would be actually giving input into the development of the EdTech ecosystem by giving signals what to develop and for what purpose, and what are then the evaluation criteria in order to get in, more or less. Because now EdTech providers are usually developing solutions based on a feeling of what might be needed, or then, of course, some have a better understanding of what happens in the classroom. But this kind of system-level cooperation between the public and the private would be highly needed, because then it would be much easier when these solutions, which were growing from these signals from the public sector, when they get in, then university could come in and see through research what is the impact. So this kind of multi-stakeholder cooperation, using the public sector to using the public sector as a catalyst for innovation in the EdTech space would be something highly needed, because they are the regulators. So if they take another hat of just not being regulators but catalysts, we're actually creating something new, which is needed.
Yes, and what role could the hub have here to really be part of pushing or promoting, or also taking on this catalyst role more proactively as a part of creating this flourishing ecosystem?
I would say that, of course, we have a key role in that, as we are widely networked in our faculty and also within the university, specifically in the university innovation ecosystem. So I would say that we are the catalyst from the faculty side. And as in big organizations, typically also at the university, the connections are everything. So you need to know people, you need to know who to call, who to email, and just start doing that. So, yeah.
And what would you have as an objective or target to succeed from this time with the cohorts that you've had so far, and then going forward as an example from Finland to the world? What would be these great achievements that you hope to have been able to succeed with?
It's an innovation model, R&D model based on triple helix, which means that you have the academia, the industry, and the public sector joining hands in order to create something new. So in a way, what I was just complaining about, the regulator/catalyst, so we are in a way developing that. But based on the feedback that we get externally from the likes of UNICEF or UNESCO or delegations that visit us frequently from different countries. So based on that, we have been able to create, if not the best, at least one of the best innovation cooperation models in the world, where this new wave of EdTech innovations are able to more or less develop based on the different stakeholders in our ecosystem, and so that they get the needed support in different areas. So I would see that the model that we have in place now is very, very good already. Of course, still needs to be honed, but this is something that should be replicated in a way globally. This public-private cooperation, where you have the public sector, the academia, and the industry, meaning in this case EdTech companies, joining hands, creating something new, evidence-based. So in that sense, we have already succeeded in the next stage of EdTech innovation ecosystem development, where we started this whole thing with the discussion.
Great. I think you answered my last question, and to you then, Heidi, from your perspective, so what advice would you give to the different stakeholders that are interested in this topic? So founders, researchers, educators, and also decision makers in general. And then what final hope do you have right now that will happen from your work?
I have two things in my mind, actually. First of all, I really hope that we, during our this project span, we have been able to develop a world-class program to support both university-based teams, but also the external teams. And as a part of that, I see that we also systematically look at how does our program work and find the results. Can we really support also those teams that do not have the background in educational sciences or pedagogical sciences? So what are the results that we can do during the program? And I would say that the preliminary results are quite promising. So I'm really proud of that. And I think that it's a result of that we have, from every round and from cohort to cohort, we have tried to develop what we are actually doing. We've been really thinking about how to make that program better. Even a bigger goal that I would say is that changing culture is really slow. But still, after conducting Helsinki Education Hub for 2 years now, I would really wish to see that we have planted a seed for the Faculty of Educational Sciences at the University of Helsinki, that probably we have kind of sparked this innovation mindset, or a little bit of this entrepreneurial mindset, or how to turn the research-based findings into some practical initiatives. So kind of changing that very traditional academic culture to become a little bit more like innovation minded. So I would say that these are the two big things that we are doing and try to do, and I'm really happy to see the results. But of course, always need to say that we've done great job, but still we have work to do.
I'll just add one thing. So, of course, we do understand, and this comes from literature as well, that running an incubation program doesn't mean that if you have a cohort which has 10 teams, you have 10 success cases. An incubation program means that one of the teams most likely will become something. So if we can see that from each cohort that we run, 1, 2, 3 become something, very, very happy. More than one.
Fantastic. So I look very much forward to the research results, the final results, and to learn more about all the work that you've been doing. And would like to just ask you for a final recommendation or invitation. What would be your final thoughts or a comment that you would like to add?
Well, I could add something about the future, which it's a bigger future, and I don't know how long it will take, but we have initiated a possible project as part of our activity, which is going to be highly needed. Some people understand the importance of it, many don't. And that is that now, with all the different problems that I mentioned, the procurement incapability and incompetence of skillful procurement of education technology, and at the same time prohibiting AI-based solutions coming into the classrooms and so forth. So we actually, as in Finland especially, so we have a great potential in starting to build sandboxes, which mean data for the use of entrepreneurs, for the use of research, for the use of, for example, educational evaluation and so forth. So I foresee that country that is going to be building the first sandbox for AI-based EdTech solutions is going to be the crown jewel of EdTech in the long run in the future. And this is my message for the listeners, that Finland has the best capabilities. Finland is one of the most digitized countries, we have these data, not lakes yet, but datavaranto in Finnish. So if we just connect the dots and start building these sandbox-like infrastructure support mechanisms for entrepreneurs at the same time as supporting the public sector in making more data-based decisions, we are able to improve the output of better AI-based EdTech solutions. We are able to evaluate those solutions better because of the data, but at the same time we are able to improve our education system through the data from those sandboxes. So this is something that needs to happen in this country, and we, as I said, third time now, we have one of the best capabilities to do that. So start demanding from it, people. But start demanding for it, sorry.
That's a very good message, and so the future might look very bright, in other words.
If that's
Finland.
done, I think we are solving many of the problems of educational technology.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And your
fully
final
agree
comments?
with Niko. I couldn't say it better. From my perspective, I'm very confident that there are a lot of kind of a latent potential, innovation and commercial potential in the universities. Also in those fields that are not that traditionally innovation intense fields, such as humanities, societal sciences, educational sciences. Quite often when we talk about the innovations, university-based innovations, we talk about the science and technology and such. But I'm sure that there are a lot of hidden potential also in these more ill-defined fields of research. And I'm really much looking forward to those solutions, how we can dig that latent potential from the those research fields that are a little bit more like vague compared to the traditional sciences and such. So I very close to my heart are the blooming universities, and we try our best to support also the future of universities in that sense, to try to get all this innovation potential out of them.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
I guess your success story will be one of the elements that will attract more of these research to come to light somehow.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to continuing the conversation and see what else you do, and whatever you want to talk about. Welcome back.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
so
to be
much.
here.
Thank you.